Hey guys, I'm Joel Kim Booster. It's time for Ask a Comedian, where I answer questions from fans about anything and everything. And let me tell you, some of you freaks have some really weird questions. It's the same ritual that I had when I played basketball in high school, and we affectionately refer to those as PGDs, pre-game dumps. The one thing that I need to do before I go on stage is take a shit. Always. It's the worst feeling to be on stage and need to take a shit. And also, there's something about the adrenaline in your body right before you go on stage. It never fails. I always need to shit before I go on stage, every single time. How young are we talking here? I don't need a Gen Z daddy, okay? That's not what I'm looking for. I need somebody who a little bit of life experience, somebody with at least a little bit more life experience than me to be my daddy, somebody preferably who has a car, who can drop me off and pick me up at the mall and the movies and other places where daddies would drop you off and pick you up. The first role I ever auditioned for was, are we talking high school here? Because in high school, it was probably Tommy Gillis and the Music Man, which I did get, and I completely slayed. Out in the real world, I think the first role I ever auditioned for was the Chinese food delivery boy. I have actually had to pee. One time, I remember, I think it was in DC. I get a lot of UTIs, which I know is shocking to learn as a man, but I have a small bladder. I'm prone to UTIs. Sometimes I got to pee. Literally in the middle of the set, had to stop the show and say, I'm so sorry, I need to go pee. And what I did is I pulled up an audience member and I just told them to pretend to be me for the couple minutes that I needed to run off stage and pee. And I think they had a great time, and I had a great time peeing in the middle of my set. I usually do a segment in my set when I'm on the road where I say, like, this next 10 minutes is all stuff that I've never said on stage before, and we're going to work it out together and sort of slowly, little by little, learn what hits and what doesn't hit, and I make adjustments in between sets. But in terms of writing, like, most of my writing happens on stage. Boy, oh boy, are there tons, which is probably not a good thing to admit as a comedian. But there's a couple. One of my favorite jokes that I sort of took out of the rotation because it just never hit in the right way is a joke about how the Wicked Witch of the West was the original girl boss. It sounds way worse than it is. Trust me, it is very funny. I think it would be really awesome to tour with, like, Ronnie Chang, Margaret Cho, Sierra Catal, Aparna Nancherla, like a full, like, Asian American comedy tour would be so dope. I think it would be really interesting because I think a lot of people assume that because we share this sort of like racial experience that all our jokes would be very similar, but I can't think of like a group of people with more dissimilar jokes and more dissimilar perspectives on the same experience. And so I think it would be really cool to see that kind of tour happen. I am a water trainer. If I can make it through with all water Pokemon on my team, I know that's not practical, but I would love it. A Misty Stan from the jump. My two favorite Pokemon are Staryu and Starmie. I don't know. I dig those weird looking starfish motherfuckers. That's a really tough question because I think I went through a lot of stages where I thought I was funny and didn't think I was funny. Like when I was a little kid, I was always making people laugh, like because I would just do shit like fart really loud in public. And my parents thought that was like so funny. And then you grow up and suddenly that's not funny anymore. That's disgusting. And then you go through this period where, like, as a gay guy, I came out really early and you're socialized either to hide yourself and become invisible or become sort of like the class clown, I think, when you're sort of like visibly gay like I am. And so I chose that option and I just became louder and more obnoxious, basically, to try and make people laugh as a way of sort of deflecting bullying. And so in high school, that's sort of when I realized other people thought I was funny. But it was years and years and years before I thought I could do it as like a career. This has been Ask a Comedian. I'm Joel Kim Booster. See you next time.